Hey everyone, Carl here with Literate Lessons, and today we're going to be taking a look at Chien-Pao. Chien-Pao is one of the 4 ruinous Pokemon, known for its Sword of Ruin ability, lowering the defense of all opposing Pokemon without that ability, making this thing a very strong physical attacker and partner with 2 other physical attackers. Overall, Chien-Pao boasts a very high attack stat and a very high speed stat, and the rest of its stats are middling at best. This means that you are at minimum speed tied with things like Flutter Mane, but you are still outspeed by things like Dragapult, Bundle, etc. The good part about this is you also have very good priority moves in Sucker Punch and Ice Shard, if you want both of those, to make sure that you are moving first ahead of your opponent and dealing massive damage because of your Sword of Ruin ability. Overall, Chien-Pao usually wants to be playing max speed, max attack. Nature's kind of depending on, like, are you Scarf? Are you Sash? Do you want that kind of thing? I believe most will probably be Jolly. I would imagine that being speed tied with most Flutter Mane is a good thing. That way you can at least pressure both ways a decent amount of the time. Chien-Pao also gets very good coverage in the form of things like Acrobatics, Sacred Sword, Brick Break, and Psychic Fangs. This offers a lot of good coverage on a very powerful Pokemon that, unlike Chi-Yu, has multiple different things that it can do via support with like Icy Wind, Taunt, and the like, while not being super duper punished by an opposing like Ting Lu or other very powerful attackers. Looking at possible sets for Chien-Pao, a lot of the time what you're going to see Terra-wise is Terra Ghost or Terra Dark, looking to either maximize Sucker Punch damage or avoid a very big fighting type weakness. Both options are very, very powerful. I personally prefer the Terra Ghost. It makes you immune to Fake Out interaction as well, which is very, very powerful. Ghost is also a hard type to hit super effectively, so you can kind of play around with that. Maybe you can take a look at doing some more defensive calcs with Terra Ghost and living some better hits that way. I know we've seen Pokemon like Talonflame utilize Terra Ghost very, very well and still be that support Pokemon. I expect Chien-Pao to kind of be able to do the same. Item-wise and move-wise, Focus Sash, Choice Items, both very, very good options here. This thing you just kind of want to do its job and then get out, or survive a couple hits and let your partner Pokemon do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. That being said, like I said earlier, you have a lot of priority moves at your disposal to use to make sure that you're at least getting some damage off before you get taken out. Ice Shard and Sucker Punch both being very strong options. This is why you would tend to see Terra Dark instead of Terra Ice or other Terra types, just trying to maximize that Sucker Punch damage with that opponent's lower defense. Other things you can do, Icy Wind is a very, very powerful speed control option, making you one of the fastest things on the field, and then lowering everybody else's speed is very, very powerful. You also have access to Sacred Sword and or Brick Break and or Psychic Fangs if you're really worried about opposing Grimmsnarl screens. You can also just kind of play around with Terras and play Terra Blast. You are very, very fast, so I could see a set going maybe instead of Terra Ghost, maybe going into like I don't know, maybe Terra Fire with Terra Blast to maybe hit an opposing Steel type. You could play Terra Flying or Terra Steel yourself and use that Terra Blast type to your advantage to kind of pick up KOs here and there, because that 120 base attack is nothing to scoff at. It's still going to do a lot of damage. So if you can at least outspeed something, or maybe even just take the hit with Focus Sash or Defensive Calc, being able to deal out massive physical damage with that Terra type whatever and pick up that KO will end up being advantageous for you. This next set is a Choice Band set. EVs are pretty much kind of the same. We are Terra Dark on this set, mainly just so we have Sucker Punch and Throat Chop boosted damage, and we're going to lock into an attack most of the time anyway, so we're not always too keen on really terastallizing this Pokemon. As for other moves, we have Sacred Sword and Ice Spinner as our main other forms of coverage. Ice Spinner kind of helps deal with the terrain things for your opposing, like for your partner Dragonites or Arcanines looking to do extreme speed things. Sacred Sword's just very, very good coverage. It never misses, it always hits, and fun fact, all the other ruinous Pokemon are Dark types. Having access to that fighting coverage is very, very powerful. This last set is a Choice Scarf set. Unfortunately for Chien-Pao, we don't get any like pivot moves in terms of like parting shot or U-turn or anything like that. So we're kind of really reliant on pivoting this Pokemon out manually. That's still a fine thing to do. We have good Dark coverage in Throat Chop. We have Sacred Sword coverage still. We dropped the Ice type coverage for Scarf Taunt if we want to be able to do stuff with that. Fast Taunt can be very, very powerful in the face of things like Flutter Mane or Bundle, looking to do like Encore shenanigans and stuff like that. And then we just have Icy Wind as our true ice coverage here, just to kind of help as be better speed control. When looking at building around Chien-Pao, there's not really a good core as to say for Chien-Pao. Chien-Pao is very much a lead this Pokemon to kind of take care of something. It screams hyper offense. Now, what does that mean is there's more just regular strong partners that you can play around your Chien-Pao rather than worrying about trying to build a good 4-bond core like you would for Ting-Lu, Wo-Chien, and the like. Options here include Dragonite, Arcanine, Palafin, Azumarill. Anything with a very powerful high priority attack makes a very good partner for this Chien-Pao. Extreme Speed Arcanine and Dragonite are going to be very, very common in Regulation C, mostly rocking that Terra Normal to really put that damage out and really punish people. So I would expect to see things like Ice Spin or Chien-Pao with Dragonite and Arcanine looking to get around the Psychic Terrain and DDs while also still being able to dish out massive damage when they need to. Both Palafin and Azumarill have access to priority water moves, Palafin being Jet Punch, Azumarill being Aqua Jet. In my opinion, Palafin's still going to be very, very good going into Regulation C. I don't see this Pokemon falling off anytime soon. Using its 0 to Hero ability lets you kind of protect turn 1 with Chien-Pao while you pivot Palafin out, using Flip Turn or a manual switch, bringing it back in, protecting your Chien-Pao, doing whatever you need to kind of play around some stuff, and getting these two into a strong position early on, and then sweeping the team that way. My other big favorite for Chien-Pao partners is Great Tusk. While yes, Great Tusk does like to play Earthquake, a lot of the times you can probably get away with playing Headlong Rush instead of Earthquake and look to deal massive damage that way. Another good combo is looking to maybe protect Chien-Pao and self-Earthquake, or maybe even Terra Flying Chien-Pao with Earthquake, looking to put out massive damage and have Chien-Pao be immune to that kind of situation. I think there's a lot of cool Terra types and ways to explore pairings with Chien-Pao and your partner that's a physical attacker to kind of get the leg up on certain leads and really punish opponents that way. Now we're going to take a minute to look at a couple teams that have done well in some stronger events. This first team is, I believe it was Lugia Cass, I believe that's the name. They took it to a first place finish in the Neme weekly, I think it was number 18. Congrats to them on this. This team is super duper cool. It is abusing that Palafin and Dragonite kind of physical attacker priority core alongside Chien-Pao, but we're also carrying Annihilate, which happens to do very, very well as a strong, bulky physical attacker alongside things like Chien-Pao and Ting-Lu. Flutter Mane here kind of acts as our special attacker, helps us kind of break through things like Wo-Chien or Chi-Yu, other things of that nature. Ting-Lu is a very, very strong like damage reduction option. Stomping Tantrum, Ruination, Rock Tomb, and Fissure is very, very powerful. So overall, this is a very good example of how to kind of build a Chien-Pao team. You kind of are looking to abuse your physical attackers with the Sword of Ruin ability, while also having at least some special attackers so you don't just lose on face value to things like Wo-Chien or Intimidate. This second team is featuring Dondozo, which unfortunately isn't a great Chien-Pao partner due to its wanting to play with Tatsugiri, but this Chien-Pao also does make Dondozo a little bit easier to play if Tatsugiri just isn't an option to bring this in that game, because it boosts your damage that Dondozo will deal anyway. Overall, we're also trying to abuse our Chien-Pao Sword of Ruin with things like Dragonite and Ting-Lu. Again, this kind of is just a common core. You can kind of probably slot this into a lot of teams and do very, very well. Flutter Mane, again, very, very powerful special attacker. Fits into this team archetype very well as well. I can't just like, there's no way to explain it better than just like, here's these Pokemon, these are what's doing well. If you're gonna play this one, you kind of have to play this one, and the puzzle pieces for Chien-Pao really fall into place. It's a very simple team build for the most part. And that's all I got this week. Overall, Chien-Pao is going to be probably one of the most prominent physical attacking partners in the game. I would expect Dragonite and Palafin and Arcanine's usage to go way up for as long as Chien-Pao is still viable in this game, in this format. I do expect Chien-Pao to kind of fall off as teams figure out good archetypes to kind of mitigate some of the Sword of Ruin's power. Thinking like Grimmsnarl screens or Klefki screens, or even just like being able to nuke the Chien-Pao before it has a chance to do anything. So I would expect to see Chien-Pao at least a ton in these early Regulation C events. If you like what you see, make sure to do all that fun YouTube stuff for us. Like, comment, subscribe. It helps us out a lot. Make sure to come check out the Discord and hang out with us there. Talk more Chien-Pao and Regulation C. And we will see you all next week for the final Ruinous Pokemon, Wo-Chien. Bye, everyone.